the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on this Thursday. Glad that you joined us here and adding us to your watch list every morning, every afternoon, whenever it is that you tune us in to follow up on all things Auburn athletics here. Good to see you this morning, Randy. We're going to dive right in here in just a minute. Obviously, we'll talk about the SEC tournament and Auburn's path past the SEC tournament, awards piling up, a lot of things coming in, accolades well-deserved for players and coaches here at Auburn. But first things first, Sense of Green for air that's cool and clean. Call on Sense of Green. They are the carrier experts here in the state of Alabama, proud supporters of Auburn athletics and the Auburn Blitz podcast here. Scout Program Management, a full-service construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, specializing in educational construction projects, taking you from the start to the finish. Can't ask for a better group, the best in the business as far as I'm concerned. Call on Scout Program Management for those needs. And Bunkers in Auburn on West Glen did our show there last Friday. What a great environment. Great place to watch the SEC tournament or March Madness. Make Bunkers part of your plan. Great bar, awesome food, great environment. Check them out. Don't just take our word for it. Go to see Bunkers for yourself. Randy, good to see you again this morning, buddy. It's been a minute, so glad to have you back.
Yeah, we've been busy. We had the finals going on over in Birmingham, which you and I don't think we've had a chance to talk about that. Maybe we can hit around on what we've seen from high school basketball here in the state and some of the talent that we saw over there on the girls and boys side. I think many of them are going to have an opportunity to play at Auburn or Alabama moving forward. We hope more than most end up at Auburn rather than Alabama from the state of Alabama. So I missed out quite a bit that week. And then spring break for my kids has had us on the road. Actually on a cruise this week, going to the Bahamas. So glad to be back with you.
Everybody out there's feeling sorry for you on that.
Well, right no, I do have, let me preface this. I've got an 11 and a 9-year-old. So many that are tuning in probably have been through that and they're still on spring break. So if you happen to hear ruckus going on the other side of this door right now, they're at work with me the next few days.
There you go.
So I'm trying to live through it, doing the best I can, but glad to be on here, Brett. It has been a lot going on with Auburn basketball and Auburn sports in general since I was last on with you. Able to kind of tune in on some iPads and phones and people. There were actually a lot of Auburn fans that were on the ship with us. Everybody congregated to one little spot right there. And you know me, I can't sit still and sit there and watch the game that comes down to the end. I get a little too nervous with it, but it's pretty simple. I mean, I thought Auburn played well. I know Alabama played well too. I think they're two of the top 4 teams in the country. It is what it is. I think both of them can win a national championship. Janai had a chance to win it for us at the end of regulation. I'm sure he would like to have that back and would probably make a different play than a fadeaway jumper on the baseline if he had that to choose again. And, tip your hat to Mark Sears. Mark Sears gets a nice dribble drive down the lane and a left-hand runner, and he makes his, and Janai misses his, and that's where we are. We could easily be where Auburn was 2-0 against Alabama this year, but instead we're 1-1. And to be quite honest with you, that's probably the way this thing should be, with both of those teams going into the tournament. For me, 2 of the top 3 teams in the country. I've seen Duke. I think on a neutral court, we're a lot better than Duke. I think that'll play out. But if you're asking me the 2 other teams that I don't want to match up with until very late and hopefully the Final Four, Brett, it's Alabama and Florida, my friend. Those 2 basketball teams, along with us, unless we play poorly, we're going to beat just about anybody in the country, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, that kind of leads me into you kind of went ahead and jumped right on in. I've got a lot I want to talk about this morning. I'll start with Auburn. Auburn dominated the best conference in back. I'm going somewhere with this, so just kind of bear with me for a second. Auburn dominated the best conference in basketball. They lost one road game in SEC play. They won the league with 2 games to spare. You know, I don't understand. Look, I think it's a habitual problem for Auburn fans to think the worst, and I get it. I fall into that category. You do. We all do, because we've been burnt so many times. We've seen the endings over the last 10, 15 years in the national championship football game, in the Final Four, in the College World Series. We just sit back and wait for something bad to happen. And, you know, we've had such a great season and dominated this league, you know, and we kind of petered out the last week for a lot of different reasons, and we'll talk about that. But now all of a sudden, it's like the national media went, oh, well, this is exactly what we thought. You know, let's drop them down to number 3. No, we don't drop them to number 2. We drop them to number 3 after they were number 1 pretty much throughout the SEC season, half of it at least. And it's just like everybody's willing to just say, oh, this team's done. This team is it's played its way out. It's done all it can do. And, you know, I want to take a step back and let's look at that and go, really? I mean, that's a little bit. Now, they may fall on their face. And, you know, history hasn't been good to Bruce Pearl and Auburn in the tournament in the last 5 appearances. They had made it out of the first weekend but one time, and that was the Final Four year, and they almost lost to New Mexico State in the first round. So that New Mexico State had a shot in the corner to win the game. Auburn won the game 78-77. But we all know sometimes you got to have a little luck. I remember Florida hit a half-court shot the year they won the national championship in a round 2 game, I believe. And if they don't hit that shot, they don't win a national title. So I know things kind of make themselves what they are, and you got to win every game, and every game has its own personality. But what I'm saying is, let's go back and revisit how the last week ended for Auburn, okay? They win the SEC championship outright at Kentucky. First time they'd beaten Kentucky in Rupp since 1988. They find out that Tennessee hits a buzzer beater to beat Alabama. So that locked it down. The week before, Florida lost to Georgia to put that into motion. So they celebrated, and then they have to turn around and go play Texas A&M, a team that they don't match up well with, on 2 days rest. And Bruce Pearl gave them the Sunday off, and then they had 1 day to practice Monday, and then they had to make that trip to Texas A&M. So everybody kind of saw that coming, and Texas A&M had lost 4 in a row, so they needed a win bad, and it was at home. So they're like, we got to do something to kind of stop the bleeding. And then Alabama comes in, and again, like you said, I think it's Auburn, Alabama, Florida, and it doesn't matter what order it's in. They're the best 3 teams in this conference. They come in, they're on a 2-game losing streak. They got to get a win because they're dropping down the seed line. And so they beat us in overtime. So, yeah, it looks bad on paper. You've lost your last 2. That's the first losing streak. But really, man, it's kind of like, and I heard somebody make this analysis yesterday, kind of like the Braves in baseball when you win the pennant and there's like 2 weeks left in the season. Are you really worried about those games? It's not that you don't want to win them, but are you really worried about it? If you've already got the banner for winning the pennant, do you really care? You're trying to get prepped for the playoffs, right, at that point, and you're trying to manage everything. I just think that there's way too much put into this, and I think you're going to see a different team come Friday.
Well, they need to play different. You know, that's where I'll start with this. First off, I think we played hard enough in both games to prove that we wanted to win both. I don't think we took anybody for granted. When you lose to Alabama in overtime this year with as good a basketball team as they've gotten, that's like losing to Auburn in overtime. I mean, you got to really consider who you're dealing with some of these matchups that we've had in the SEC. Texas A&M and Buzz at A&M. I mean, if Bruce Pearl left tomorrow, Brett, and I told you Buzz was the next coach at Auburn,
I'd be fine with it. I'd be fine with it.
Do you know how many Auburn fans would say the same? I'm going to go with about 80% would say the same. That's how good a coach he is. And that's a great program. That's a consistent winning program that you lost to. It's not like you went and lost to South Carolina that's playing the way that they have this year. I mean, Auburn hasn't lost a game where you go that we should not.
They have not laid
let
an
them-
egg. They've not laid an egg this year.
No, they really haven't. So I'm real happy with where we stand. I'm not upset at all. I'd love to have beaten Alabama, but I'm not upset that you lose to a top 3 team in the country. And my eyes tell me that they're going to be the same when we get into the tournament. Now, moving forward, SEC play, we better win a game or two. We better
That's
make
where
the
I'm going
finals.
next. That's the next thing I'm going to.
Like
Did you
can
steal my
spend-
notes? Did you steal my notes this
Well,
morning?
I mean, we're all thinking the same thing
Yeah.
if we're keeping up with it. I mean, if Auburn wants the number 1 overall seed, they got to win the SEC tournament. Because if Florida or Alabama win it, I bet they get it. And I would agree that you can have an argument back and forth on who
You
should.
think what? Now you think Florida, Alabama gets the number 1 overall seed?
If they win the SEC tournament.
I don't agree with that.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
I
I'm
think
telling
that-
you.
I think Duke will get the number 1 overall seed, but I got a point I want to bring up with you on
Well,
that.
Duke's got to win their tournament too, though. So
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I think they do. I think that if the SEC,
I think it's
tournament-
more imperative that they win their tournament than Auburn win ours.
Yeah, but Auburn.
I'll tell you why. I got the ammo to back that up. But go
Okay,
ahead.
you can ammo it all you want. I'm giving you my opinion here. Y'all can analytic it to death. To me, if Auburn loses, let's say in the semifinals, and Alabama or Florida move on and they win the SEC championship, and we look at the way that this thing has ended, which is Auburn losing 2 games in a row going into the tournament, winning the quarterfinal game, moving into the semifinals and losing there, and then Alabama or Florida, who we can't argue is a top 4 team in the country, move on and win the SEC championship and have that to back them up going into the NCAA tournament. I still think Auburn, no matter how this thing plays out, is a 1 seed overall, but not the top seed, not the number 1 seed.
Well,
And I'd like for us to make it to that number 1 seed, but I'm
it
conceding.
don't matter.
I'm
It doesn't matter.
Well, it's going to matter on the matchups, Brett.
No, it won't, because if you're number 1 seed in the South, you got your path. You got your path.
But who's the number 1 seed in the South if you consider Florida or Alabama?
Auburn's going to
number
get
one overall seed?
Auburn has locked the number 1 seed in the South down. That's
How do you
not up
think
for that. We've dominated all season. This is a body of work. Why the SEC tournament does not matter when it comes to seeds.
Look at the rankings, Brett.
I'm looking at the rankings.
Where's Auburn in the rankings?
Auburn's number 3.
Who's 2?
2 is Houston.
Okay, who's 1?
Duke.
Do you think Duke doesn't want that South?
Duke wants the East. Duke will just absolutely die for the East. Duke's going to get the East. Auburn's going to get the South. Houston's going to get the West. And Florida or Alabama is going to get the Midwest, period. One of those 2. If they end up being the other number 1
So
seed,
there is no part of you that thinks Auburn can play bad enough in the SEC
No.
tournament and lose
No.
the South.
absolutely not. 0.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, I think, and I'm going to back up what I'm saying about Duke.
Back it up because I haven't looked at what you're about to say.
Okay, here's the deal. The SEC tournament didn't help Auburn 1 iota last year to win it. They didn't move up 1 spot. They got sent all the way out west. I mean, John Calipari has said this for years. This tournament means nothing. He said, you know why in Kentucky we played so well in the SEC tournament? Because he said it didn't matter. He said, we just went and played in it. And so we've proven, and the media proved last year, that it does not matter. And the selection committee proved that Auburn ran that table and they won a really good tournament. And it didn't help them. They stayed a number 4 seed. And so that's why Bruce Pearl and his coaching staff were so pissed off and so enamored with everything, because they thought, man, that may have helped them up a line or 2.
Well, I'm gonna say that if Alabama or Florida win this SEC tournament and Auburn loses 3 out of their last 4 games, that there's going to be a back and forth on who gets that South.
I don't see it, but you know, I may be wrong, and that's fine.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm saying
I just think.
Auburn
Well,
better
then I
win the
think that
championship.
I just think as dominant as Auburn has been, you're going to put all this emphasis on what's happened in the last week, and that it,
3 out of your last 4, yes.
I just don't think that's right. But anyway, we can agree to disagree. What does Auburn need to do in the SEC tournament? Okay, that's the next part I want to go to. All right, rest. I mean, at this point, Yeah, I know I've been hearing, and we've all been hearing, and we got a lot of comments coming in, so I'll get to those. We've been hearing all this about rest, but you're banged up after a long season. You know, what good's a week of rest going to do at this point? I mean, your shoulder's not going to completely heal in a week. Your back, if you're Chad Baker-Mazar, is not going to heal up to the point where you're back 100%. If you tweaked your ankle a few weeks ago, Denver Jones and Janai Broome earlier in the year, and you've been playing on it and practicing every single week, it ain't healing up to 100%. I know you have to manage that, but I hear all this, well, let's just lose and get out. I don't agree with that. I think you go and you show up, and I do think it'll help Auburn's side, just personally for them, not for the big picture. I think personally for them, they need to go and they need to win a couple games and then take that momentum into the March tournament the next week. That's my opinion.
Well, if you want to make certain that you're a number one seed and get the South bracket, you better win 2 games. If you don't want to leave,
I think you're way off on that.
If you don't want to leave an opening out there where there's an argument back and forth on who deserves what, then you better win 2 games.
Right. Here's what Joe Lunardi's
problem is this, though, Brett. The last few weeks, we haven't played that great. We haven't rebounded the basketball. CBM's the same CBM we get all the time. You know, I watched a great rant by Cole Kublik yesterday. I don't know if you saw it, but I would highly recommend that you go and pull it. And his question is, how important is he to throw out there for 30 to 33 minutes in a major game, considering that you could get what you got last year, you could get what you got Saturday? At what point in time do you go, I don't know if I'm going to count on that? And yes, he has had moments and streaks where he's won us some basketball games. But there's a point where you're 25 years old. You got to grow up a little bit and be able to manage your emotions a little bit better than we're getting.
Right.
And I think Bruce Pearl's probably everything that we're saying right here or could say about him, he's giving it to him tenfold on the opposite side. I believe that. But Brett, I mean, when's the last time you thought Auburn played so well that we had a text thread? We're on a text thread and we text back and forth 50 times during the game.
Played well against Alabama.
When's the last time that we did, man, this is an unbelievable team?
Played really well against Alabama, scored 91 points. They beat us in overtime. I really don't see, and again, I'm usually opposite of what you're doing. I'm usually on the other side. I'm usually you, and you're usually me. And in this conversation,
answer that question. When's the last time you saw Auburn play?
I just said Alabama. I just said Alabama.
We lost.
We played well. You just bragged. You just bragged on Alabama coming in and winning and being such a great team, and now you got them
where there's a no doubt Auburn's the best team in the country, because we felt that way 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Kentucky
on the road.
That's a little over a week ago, and I gave the whole analysis about the A&M game, and then you come back and you play the way you played against Alabama, and you had your chance. Janai Broome hits that shot fading away, and I think we all agree he probably would like to have that back. But if he hits that shot, we're probably not even having this conversation right now. So I'm looking at records. I'm looking at the body of work and the SEC regular season. All right, I'm going to throw a stat at you. Let's talk about Duke for a second so we put things in perspective. What percentage wins did Duke have against ranked opponents in conference play this year? What percentage of their opponents in conference play were ranked when they played them? You got any idea?
No idea.
Take a wild guess.
20%.
0%. None. You know how many Auburn's were? How many games in conference play Auburn played against ranked opponents now? On the road, too, now. 24%. 24% of their games in conference play, a quarter of them, were played against ranked opponents. You know how many ranked teams Duke played this year? Total? 4. Kentucky, Auburn, Kansas, and Arizona. They went 2-2. All right? They lost to Kentucky. They lost to Kansas. They played us in their backyard and beat us 84-78. Okay, congratulations. And they beat Arizona. They played 4 teams that were ranked all year. Okay, so if we want to talk about all this, let's look at the stats and let's say the regular season matters. And Auburn dominated the best league in regard. It's not even up for debate. The SEC dominated college basketball this year. And there's 8 teams right now that are ranked in the top 25 in the SEC, and there's 3 in the ACC. 3. And so, again, let's talk about neutral site games. We're not playing tournament games in somebody's backyard, okay? We're not going to be going to Cameron Indoor, and nor is anybody coming to Neville. But we're going to be playing on neutral sites. And I think Auburn, when you look at the way they played at neutral site games this year, man, pretty doggone impressive. Pretty impressive resume. That's what I'm looking at from a standpoint of the total picture. The tournament has shown in the last several years, the SEC tournament, for teams that are highly ranked, it doesn't really mean anything. For the teams at the bottom, like a Georgia who got beat last night, or somebody that's trying to make a little push, it can help them because they're trying to prove to the committee that they can get a couple more wins. So
we'll see how that plays out. I think the biggest thing I'll say is that tip your hat to Bruce Pearl for putting the schedule together like he has. All of those analytics that you're reeling off are because we played such a tough schedule.
And that's why they're going to be a number 1 seed. And that's why they're going to be the number 1 seed in the South.
The thing we hope for is what Alabama got last year. They had some losses, and Auburn's played much better than Alabama did during the regular season last year. I'm not saying that, but what Alabama got last year was they got some losses earlier in the regular season. It got them ready for the tournament.
You remember what happened to Alabama in the SEC tournament last year? You remember what happened? Got their doors blown off by Florida. It didn't affect them. It just didn't. I mean, if anything, it woke them up.
So my point is, hopefully Auburn has this tough schedule and has all of these superlatives that you're able to throw out there analytically that gives you a reason to say Auburn, and then they play that way going into the tournament.
Well, now they do have to play that way. They do have to play. But I think what we're talking about, have they earned rightfully the number 1 seed in the South? It doesn't matter if you're the number 1 overall seed. Yeah, on paper, that's great. But Duke wants the East and Auburn wants the South. Those have been locked down. Houston, if they stay where they're going to get the West. And then the odd man out. Alabama's got 7 losses, man. They got 7 losses. There's no way they're going to vault them over Auburn and give them the number 1 seed in the South. They'll get the Midwest and or Florida. Those two got to play each other. Something's going to have to play out there, okay? So, and if Auburn moves on to the championship game, we'll get the winner of that game. But we got to go through Tennessee too, and they're not chopped liver. But they've got to play Texas A&M the day before they play us. So they're going to go through like we term it, a rock fight game, and they're going to have to beat the hell out of each other to get to us, and we're going to be sitting there waiting. So we'll see.
Well, everything's in front of them.
It is.
Everything's in front of them. I mean, my eyes tell me we're not playing as well as we have at certain points in the year. That's what I'm worried about. Now, it doesn't matter what I say. Well, I mean, what I think means zero. We come in and win. I tell you what is important. People want to say that it's not great to win the SEC tournament championship and fly another banner. I say that's the absolutely most ridiculous damn thing I've ever heard.
You always want to hang another banner. Always want to hang another banner.
Every opportunity you get to hang a banner. I'm so happy that we won an SEC tournament title last year, and Bruce Pearl's able to go on these interviews and exclaim how many championships Auburn's had in the SEC over the last decade. And he says the same about Alabama too. But if you look at the history of our program and see what Bruce Pearl has done, you got 2 opportunities here to hang banners. And we all want to win a national championship. But let's take the first things first. And it'd be wonderful, unbelievable for Auburn to win a regular season SEC tournament champion or an SEC championship in the regular season, and quite possibly the best season of college basketball in SEC history. It's up for debate, but I'd be willing to say that it's one of the top. And then win an SEC tournament title. So I'm hearing everyone, but I'm hopeful that we play up to our standard, because if we play up to our standard at a neutral site, I think we're the best team in the SEC.
I totally agree. And we are the favorite to win the SEC tournament, and we should be on bettor's odds. What I'm saying is, from a psyche for Auburn, don't worry. I'm not worried about what the media thinks or what you and I think. now, like you said, they've got everything in front of them. Now go out and don't lay an egg in the first round of the NCAA tournament or second round. Unfortunately, rightfully or wrongfully, that's how you remembered. Auburn's going to remember this season. The 25 season is, oh man, it's great. And the banner's in the rafters already that you won the regular season. And without a doubt, this may be the best version of the SEC we've ever seen. So you've got that in your kitty already. If you win the tournament, that's icing on the cake. But what Auburn's going to be remembered for is how they do in March, because this team is going to be a number one seed, and they've been dominant for most of the year. And if you go out in the first weekend again, that is going to become a situation where you look at it as habitual problem for this Auburn basketball program, because 4 out of the last 5 trips, Auburn hasn't made it past the first or second game, and they haven't made it to the second weekend where you play in the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. So I don't know if there's pressure on that, but Auburn's going to have a draw, Randy, where they're going to be clearly the better team in both the first 2 games. Now they just got to go out and perform. They didn't do that last year. They didn't do that. They laid an egg, and they caught hell for it, and they understand that. Let's see if their mindset has changed, and let's see if we see a different team on Friday when they take the floor. Because like you said, there are naysayers out there. This team hadn't played well this last week. They're not playing as well as they have been. Well, let's see if they're rejuvenated and they want to come out. Maybe they got a little chip on their shoulder now that the media dropped them to number 3 in the country.
Well, I think we've done certain things as well as we have all year. I think you can make an argument that Tahad and Janai, the way that he played against Alabama, is maybe not as explosive as he has been earlier in the year. But from an offensive standpoint, I mean, when you score what Auburn scored here lately, I mean, we've looked good there. My issue is that Bruce Pearl-led teams, when they're at their best, win basketball games by playing physical basketball, defensively, rebounding the basketball, and not letting anyone really come in and outwork you on the court. And I don't know that I've seen that the last several weeks.
Don't you think this could be a good thing for Auburn, the way they ended in the chatter and then getting dropped to number 3? And don't you think this should be a motivator for them?
It should be, but that's what Bruce Pearl's one of the best coaches for in the country, and he can get them back up. And if you point to why Auburn played so well at Tuscaloosa when they won over there, it was defense. It was not letting Mark Sears go shoot your eyeballs out and get a runner down the lane that he's going to make 9 out of 10 times in the last second of the ball game.
Auburn played pretty well against him all night, and so he had one play. And,
he scored some points, bro.
He had 9 points, Randy. Had 9 points at Auburn. 9 points. He had a terrible game. It was the worst game of the season. And he went left, and that was – Auburn had done such a good job all night of stopping him, and he went left, and he hit a shot. And Auburn got off on the switch late. It was a Miles Kelly, Denver Jones deal. And I can't remember. I think it was Denver. He went to the left, which he's facing Mark Sears. He went to the left, and Mark Sears went to his left and left the lane wide open. He made the floater. So, yeah, it was not a good performance by Mark Sears at all. It was LeBaron Philon and Omori and those guys that kicked Auburn's ass inside. Alabama changed their philosophy, man. They went inside on Auburn, and Nate Oates made it a point. He's like, look, we know what we did last time. We went out here and we shot 8,000 threes and didn't make but 5 of them. We're not going to do that. We're going to try to go inside. And I'm pulling this up to make sure I'm right. Yeah, Mark Sears was 3 of 9 with 9 points. Grant Nelson had the day. Grant Nelson went off. He had 23 points, and that's why
in the first half.
Right, and he, that was the version we saw of Grant Nelson last year coming down the stretch that made Alabama so good. But hey, look, as far as our job defensively against Mark Sears, man, we couldn't have played him any better.
Other than that last play,
guy made a play.
Yeah, guy made a play.
And then Janai Broome, on the other hand, had 34 points.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he doesn't look as explosive, but his stat totals are right there, and he's had some great games over the last couple of weeks.
You know what makes why he doesn't look well? The proof in what you just said is he only had 8 rebounds. He hadn't had a double-double in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
He can't get off the floor for something. Like, he had a dunk in that game. I don't know if you saw it or
I
not.
saw it, yeah.
He barely got off the floor and got it over the front of the rim. So I'm like, I mean, you can tell there's clearly a problem with the explosion off the floor, which is more evident with rebounding than it is scoring.
Yeah.
And especially
and Chaney's gone missing for whatever reason.
I didn't even get a chance to go into that with you because I know you're a big fan of Chaney and I love Chaney too. But his last 5 games, and again, Randy,
passive. He's passive.
Well, I'm gonna look at it here. 4 fouls again, 15 minutes. He's not doing anybody any good sitting on the bench. He cannot get stupid fouls 40 feet from the basket. Can't do it, man. And that's kind of where. So I'm hoping that all of this kind of stuff gets washed out. And like you said, we got Bruce Pearl. I'll ride with him.
Oh yeah,
all day, every day. It doesn't matter. So
I'm just glad we're in the conversation. And
amen to that.
You know, we say it all the time. When people get upset when you don't win championships and when you don't follow through, and we've heard it mine and your whole life being Auburn fans, especially football fans in the early 80s and mid 80s where Auburn was in the mix just about every year. But boy, it sure is nice as you sit here in 2025 hoping and praying that Auburn actually has a winning season to cheer for a team when we were growing up that was in the mix every year, in the conversation every year. Hell, when's the last time we were in the conversation on the football side? Unless it was a made-up expectation to start the season.
I looked a lot younger.
Or negative.
Yeah, that's
Or
right.
negative something.
I looked a lot younger the last time Auburn was in the conversation.
But my point is, every year in basketball, we can make
Right.
an argument. So it's, temper your expectations. But I sure do hope. Let's start with this SEC tournament. I think it's winnable for Auburn. And,
for sure.
People may say that, you saw last year where they won it and it didn't mean anything in the NCAA tournament. But I don't know about you. It means something to me that we got a banner up there and won an SEC tournament title. Before this run by Bruce Pearl, hell, the last time you and I could cheer for one was, I think, in 1985. Or whatever year that was. And I can remember watching that game where
You're talking about the tournament.
Auburn went on the run and won the SEC tournament. And wins is that the only SEC tournament win that we've had up until this Bruce Pearl run?
Yeah, I think so.
So, I mean, that's how big of a deal this is for a program like Auburn.
Well, and Nashville's been good to Bruce Pearl and Auburn, let's be honest. And I think we're going to play well. Again, I think the hope, what we're all sitting here on eggshells is let's hope that the version of Auburn moving forward is not this last week. And I think there's a lot of external elements that I gave my whole list of points to you and everybody else watching of why I think it happened. Now, if they go fall on their face, I didn't go dribble the basketball. I didn't coach a play. So they got to go do it. I'm just breaking it down. I'm trying to defend them. I'm trying to say, everybody calm down a little bit. It's going to be okay. And then we'll lose in the first round, and then I'll eat my words.
Calm him down, Faith. I've done all I can for him this morning, but I'm going to step aside, go run these businesses, Brett. Lee Apparel and Sign Source, new location in Auburn, 1848 Opelika Road. Stop by and see us. Got some new signage going up, a digital board going up on Opelika Road to tell our story there. You'll see some Auburn Blitz stuff rolling across that digital board also. But if you need signage, you need corporate apparel, T-shirt, screen printing, 256-825-0197, and give us a call. We'd love to work with you. Faith, take care of him. Whew. I'm going to step aside, and I'll call him and try to calm him down here in a little bit.
I'm all good, man. We'll welcome in Faith, bringing the sunshine. Back in Auburn, not at the coast anymore. So that's awesome. Let me get a couple more of our sponsors in here while we are rocking and rolling here on this Thursday. Sure Shot for all your outdoor needs, man. Turkey season is around the corner. I can't wait. I'm excited, and I know a lot of you are as well. All your apparel, all your firearms, all your ammo, Sure Shot in Alexander City, they got it. Give them a call. You can't even see the number because I got the banner in front. 256-329-0080. Call on Sure Shot. They'll take care of you. And then Oliver Ross, my man, Mark Gillen, his group, do such a great job of coming out and handling your parties, your events, full service licensed, trained bartenders for all the things that you need. Go and call on them. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook. They will take care of you out there. Faith, welcome in. Glad to see you. We have a boatload of comments rolling in. Justin, see, I've been calm this morning. See, I'm not all over the top. I'm good. I've just got all my stuff. And then John doesn't think so. John thinks I'm fired up. So we got a lot of comments coming in. First of all, I'm going to disagree with Randy. Again, and y'all tell me. I think Auburn has the South locked up. They should. They have the number 1 seed in the South. I think Houston will get the number 1 seed in the West, and I think Duke will get the number 1 seed in the East. And I don't really think it matters what any of them do in their tournaments. I don't. I think that's how the path is based on the resumes. And then I think the Midwest will go to Florida or Alabama. And, they've probably they're on the path to have to play each other in Nashville. So we saw what Florida did to Alabama last time. If Alabama beats them in Nashville, that might be enough to sway the voters and the committee to jump them to the 4 seed. I mean, the number 1 seed, the 4th number 1 seed. We'll see. I think all that will play out, but I don't think Auburn loses the South to Florida or Alabama. I may be totally wrong. And if they do that and stick Auburn, who's been the number 1 team in the country the last 8 or 9 weeks, and shove them out to the Midwest, that'll be the biggest hose job I think we've ever seen. So I don't see it happening, though.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think all these teams have it locked up the way the
way I said
schedule, yeah.
The way I said it.
Yeah, the way the schedules have been and all that.
Jason said the number 1 overall is Auburn, then Duke, Houston, and whoever the committee chooses between Florida, Tennessee. Look, I'm going to tell you something, man. Like, we didn't even talk about Tennessee here. I mean, and we're all sleeping on them a little bit. And I know they play an ugly brand of basketball, but, I mean, we're just kind of diminishing them and dismissing them. And, Tennessee went to Alabama. I mean, Tennessee beat Alabama on a buzzer beater, and I know Florida beat Alabama and vice versa. And, I know we split with Alabama, and there's all kind of different things, but, Alabama's got 7 losses, so you got to keep that in mind. And I don't know. I don't have a tournament history in front of me, but I don't remember seeing a number 1 seed with that many losses. Now, they've had a tremendous schedule, but I just don't remember a number 1 seed having. So now, again, I haven't done my research on that, so I don't know what everybody's record's been in recent memory of number 1 seeds, but that's a lot of losses a lot of times for a number 1 seed. So going back, Justin, I'm trying to hit some of these. If we get to Atlanta, that should be favorable for us, no doubt. I mean, you're in the second weekend. That's the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. I'd love to get there. I will go to that if we make it there. I think that will be awesome. John said the seeding guru indicated yesterday that Bama or Florida can still be a 1 seed. I mean, yeah, no kidding. I mean, I didn't hear the specifics. I think they absolutely can be a 1 seed. I think Florida maybe has the 1 seed right now, but if Alabama were to beat them, I think they could flip them. I don't know. And then I think Tennessee has something to say about it too. So I don't think they're all out of that. Michael said, Faith, are you agreeing with Brett so he'll keep checking your oil?
No.
Michael, I'm just here. I'm here to do whatever I got to do to help everybody, So if Faith needs me to go take her car to the shop, I'll do it. I'll whatever I got to do to help her. I told her dad that the other day. I said, don't worry about Faith. Obviously we all need to invest in Toyota because you can go an entire year and not have to change your oil. And
4Runners are great, guys.
4Runners. If there's ever been a promo for that, there's nothing that you can say that's any better for promotion of a vehicle. Go buy you a 4Runner. You don't have to change the oil, everybody. You save so much money on oil changes every year. You just don't have to go. The surprising thing, Michael, is when I did check the oil, it had oil in it. I was expecting it to be bone dry, and she's kind of up and down the road, man. She's all over the place, and
So
it's very shocking. Like one of the biggest mysteries I've ever been a part of. But anyway, I don't know how much you saw earlier, Faith, on what Randy and I were talking about, but moving into tournament play, it's neutral site atmospheres. It's not playing in somebody's backyard or you playing at home. And Auburn has done really well. And I know a lot of the neutral site games were earlier in the year, but I think that Auburn, I'm taking Auburn against anybody, including Duke, on a neutral
site.
Yeah. I mean, I just think they've earned that right. And I think Auburn is the best team in the country. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean every time that you're going to win it, but I do think this is the best team in the country. And I think Auburn fans just want to see maybe some of that dominance that they exuded against Purdue and Ohio State and some of the teams in the conference this year that we played. They want to see that come back. And I think it will. I think you'll see that on Friday, whoever Auburn plays, whether it be, this matchup between Arkansas and Ole Miss. I know you'll be glued to that. I know you'll be. Are you pulling for the Razorbacks today, Faith? Just go ahead and tell everybody. You don't have to hold back. You kind of want Ole Miss to win, so they have to play us, right? Oh God, she's a traitor, everybody. I told you. So she's got an Ole Miss shirt on
because
I hope everybody saw that.
Personal, that's just like personal. But if it wasn't personal, I would say I would like to play Arkansas again. They're going to be tired. They're going to be exhausted.
And by the way, Big Z had another sucky game. He had 4 points yesterday. I don't know what's going on with that guy.
Yeah.
So I'm not really now. Again, I'm not going to say I'm not scared. Justin just unsubscribed.
Justin. Solely.
Here we go.
My personal reasons.
Killing us up here today.
I know. Okay, I know. I hop on. I haven't even been on for 10 minutes, and I'm already getting.
That's right.
But hear me out here.
Justin is reverse psychology. She's trying to use that vibe, wear that shirt to kind of. She said, "Put the Auburn hat." He said, "Put the Auburn hat on," and you make up for it. So
okay.
There you go.
I'll do that. I was wearing my Auburn Blitz hat on the beach, by the way.
Look at there, sporting, along with Coach Kleinert in Las Vegas. So
hey, there we go. But I would like to play Arkansas due to the fact that they're going to be exhausted. I do think that would be an incredibly chippy game on their behalf, just because we all know what sloppy, lazy, tired playing looks like. We've seen it before. And that just makes for a lot of chippy basketball. Very physical, but that was a really close game against them, but
it had a lot to do with how we played.
Exactly, yeah, 100%. And also, we've seen what we can do against Ole Miss, though, is
twice.
Winning by 10 points and then winning by 30 points, and that's just also my kind of logic behind that too. Is
I like your logic.
I'm confident playing either one of them, truthfully.
Right. Well, let's look at the SEC tournament today, round number 2, starting at noon today with your Ole Miss Rebels.
No, don't
taking on Arkansas, and then you got Texas A&M. In Texas knocking off Vanderbilt. Man, they played well. Then Vanderbilt came back. And
that was crazy.
That was a 12-13. That was a semi-upset just by ranking. Boy, LSU went ahead and just decided to quit. And Mississippi State had a scrimmage, and they knocked them out. So Mississippi State will play Missouri. And then Georgia last night losing to Oklahoma and just kind of fumbled that game away, and Oklahoma wins. And Oklahoma will play Kentucky tonight. So Ole Miss will know mid-afternoon who Auburn will be playing on Friday at noon. And then Texas and Texas A&M, a little old rivalry there, going to be taking place in round number 2, and the winner will get Tennessee. So we'll see how that plays out. And then that Missouri-Mississippi State game, the winner of that game will take on Florida Friday. Missouri's not playing well. They're a team that definitely is not playing well. That's a team, though, that could find themselves and make a little run in this tournament, though. You know, that's a sleeper team sitting down there that, hey, you know, could make a little bit of a noise. They could match up with Florida and then, you know, then surprise them, and then all of a sudden you look up and they're in the semifinals on Saturday taking on Alabama. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I think Florida may be the best team right now. And then Kentucky will play Oklahoma, and then the winner of that game will take on Alabama on Friday night. So
that'll be an interesting game. The last time they played, in Kentucky only won by 1.
That's it.
So
going to be interesting. Yeah, and you and I were – that was the night of the Auburn Ole Miss game, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And it was in Oklahoma. So, yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. We were actually doing a podcast after we got back to the hotel.
Yeah.
And we had that game going on in the background. So, all right, so that's it for the SEC tournament. That's the update. Again, that will get started at noon today with that Ole Miss Arkansas game. So we'll all be watching that definitely. You know, accolades, man. Bruce Pearl, AP SEC Coach of the Year, so deserving. You know, Janai Broome, AP SEC Player of the Year. Sporting News and Andy Katz, National Player of the Year. Janai Broome. You know, and some of the accolades for him. 15 games with 20 or more points. You know, that's unbelievable. Yeah, you know, just the all the different stats. He's one of 5 players in NCAA history to average 18 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks per game for the season. You know, he's in the talk with guys like Tim Duncan and Ralph Sampson and David Robinson and those kind of guys. So when you look at this league, what Janai Broome's done in this league and all the stuff I rattled off with Randy earlier, and then you look at Duke's resume, and I'm not taking anything away from Cooper Flagg, but you look at Duke's resume, they've played 0 teams ranked in conference play. They've only played 4 ranked teams all season. Hell, Alabama played the top 3 of the top 5 teams in the last week coming down the stretch. So even Alabama and Florida and us and Tennessee, the week after week after week grind of what we've had to go through and the numbers he's put up, which are comparable to Cooper Flagg's, and he's done it on such a weaker scale. And again, he can't help who his competition is.
But that just shows
that's it.
The competition in the SEC.
Right. So with all of that being said, how does Janai Broome not win Player of the Year nationally? Again, I think it was huge that he got Sport News Player of the Year. And I think Andy Katz, who covers college basketball top to bottom, probably better than anybody, including Joe Lunardi, gave him Player of the Year. And he gave Freshman of the Year to Cooper Flagg, of course. But I said that, 2 months ago?
Yep.
Let's just give the Player of the Year to Janai and give Freshman of the Year to Cooper Flagg and let everybody be happy. Now, I'm not in the business everybody get a trophy, but I truly do believe Janai Broome's the best player in the country. I do.
I agree. I think you can't even really compare the two when it comes to if you're looking at the scale of who we've played, who his competition has been,
right, and
who, again, like you said, you can't help. Cooper Flagg can't help that his team isn't playing a bunch of ranked teams, but guess what? When he decided to go to that school, that's also something that.
But guess what? The argument would be, though, Faith, if Janai Broome were putting all these points up and Auburn were losing, we'd be going, well, Auburn's playing in a way harder league than than Cooper Flagg is. And
Okay, well, we're winning.
And see now, but we're doing this and winning. So to me, it's apples to oranges. And again, it doesn't take anything away from Cooper Flagg. I just think when you look at it from a standpoint of one of 5 players in NCAA history to do what he's done and to do it against the best competition week in and week out, to put the numbers up, in quad 1 games, 20.5 points a game, 11.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 2.5 blocks, 50% field goal percentage in quad 1 games. In 15 games, he had 20 or more points this year. I mean, to me, this is. I think it's a no-brainer. So,
I like this question. Food for thought. If Flagg was on Auburn and Broome is on Duke,
oh God,
is the conversation the same?
Wouldn't even be close. I think. If you're looking at,
you're saying you're giving it to Broome.
I would say, yeah. I mean, he's flipping the script and saying that. I think, if you put Broome on Duke's team, Duke's still winning the way they're winning. So I don't know that it really matters on that deal. I think what the question is the bias. But it boils down to the bias toward Duke. That's where this is coming from.
If Flagg was a freshman doing all of this at Auburn, I feel like that's also.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know that I don't know that it really changes much.
You don't think so?
I don't, because if they're still performing at the highest level, and then I think Auburn's got a better team and a better resume. I think you're just swapping players. I don't think either one of them fall off.
So wait, who would you give it to?
I would probably give it to if Cooper Flagg is doing what he would be doing on this Auburn team, I'd probably give it to Cooper Flagg.
Okay, yeah, okay. I thought you were saying you'd give it to Janai.
No.
Yeah, no, I give it to Cooper.
I'm saying that you're just switching players.
Yeah,
I think the bias coming in is on Duke.
I thought you were coming in saying that you would give it to Janai. I was like, I'm confused. I was like,
no, I think that's why I said I think it'd be a no-brainer with Cooper Flagg too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're just switching players. They're still going to do the same thing. Cooper Flagg coming to Auburn is a different style player, but he's going to get his. And plus, he would be on a really good team in the best conference. I think he would get the nod because of the competition. But what you're trying to fight right here is the national media bias toward Duke. They're the darling of college basketball. They have not been able to get them to the number 1 spot until this past week. And they finally got them there, and they feel like everything's right in the world. So I just think that Janai Broome has been on the best team, and he's the best player on the best team in the best league. That should be player of the year. Again, has nothing to do with Duke and Cooper Flagg's. Cooper Flagg has had a phenomenal season, but Janai Broome has earned this, and I think Cooper Flagg is far and away the best freshman of the year. Yeah,
it really has to do with who they've played.
That's right. Jason said he's had 3 4-runners. All are incredible. One had 436,000 miles. That'll probably be the next time Faith changes her oil, is when hers rolls over to 436,000.
I got 50,000. I have to get new tires. So
there you go. Big girl time, real world time. Isn't it fun?
I don't know. I need to.
Don't you want to go back? Don't you want to go back and? Don't you want to go back to college?
Hey, I'm not in college.
I said, don't you want to go back?
I thought you were saying that to.
No, I said, don't you want to go back to college?
I really would, but
now you're in the real world. It's too late. So, but anyway, that's it in a nutshell. Today, I mean,
did you just hear that?
I did not.
Oh my gosh! Lucy just let out the biggest stretch I've ever heard. That was crazy.
I was just making sure that wasn't your stomach growling.
No. No. Did we talk about softball?
No, we did not dive into softball.
Really quickly,
Throw it out there.
Auburn took a quick L in Atlanta last night against Georgia Tech. Now
Things
they're
aren't trending well for Auburn softball. They lost 4 in a row after being 20-1.
Yeah, we're at 20-5, 0-3 in conference, obviously, because we lost to State or Mississippi State. But yeah, they were up 0-3 in they were up 3 in the first inning, and then Georgia Tech had a walk off to win 5-4 last night, and that was tough for them. But hopefully Auburn will.
Well, we need look. I'm not trying to. This is a new coaching staff. It's a young team.
They've had a great start to their.
They were 20-1. Now they're 20-5. They're on a little skid, and SEC play is gruesome. And so
we are now going to be playing Texas A&M here at home for a little series this weekend.
Weather permitting.
Yes, that too.
Not looking promising for sure.
Yeah.
And Auburn baseball will be at home against Vanderbilt.
Texas A&M is ranked number 5 right now, so we'll see how that plays out starting tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Get it turned around. I'd love to get a series win against that team, and then you're off and rolling. But you don't want to get swept again. No. You don't want to drop to 0-6 in league play after the first 2 series. And in softball, baseball, we saw Auburn dig a massive hole last year. And it's hard to get out. And then in softball, you go down, you start off 0-6 in league play, man.
It's tough.
You are trying you're using all your effort just to get back to 500. Jim said when Flag faces elite defenders, things will change in the NCAA tournament. The thing is when will he face an elite defender? Probably not in the first couple of rounds, and then get to the Sweet 16, maybe, depending on their matchup. We'll see how the brackets break down. I'm not diminishing Cooper Flag. I think he's a tremendous player. Would have loved to have had him on Auburn's team. I think anybody would love to have him, but I think the same about Johni Broome. And they've been on different paths. Johni Broome is an older guy that came through the transfer portal and has increased his stock and gotten better. And Cooper Flag, he burst onto the scene as a freshman and doing all this stuff. So, yeah, he's a tremendous player. I'm not taking anything away from him whatsoever. I think he's a great player. I just think Johni Broome, with his resume and his accomplishments and what he did in the toughest league in college basketball and helping his team stay number 1 for 9 weeks, basically, he's to me is the best player. And you know what? He lost. The game was lost, but he scored 34 in his last outing. And if you'll remember me saying, Faith, after the 9 and the 8-point outing against Kentucky and Texas A&M, I said, what could really get him back in the conversation of National Player of the Year and maybe convince people is he comes out and scores about 31 against Alabama. And guess what he scored? 34. So he upped me by 3. So, and I said it. I didn't say he had to win the game. It would have been nice, but you go out and do that against one of the top 5 teams in the country to end the season, and you put 34 on the board. Yeah, you're probably player of the year.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
So, well, all right. Again, we want to thank our partners here on the program. We couldn't do it without them. Again, Sensagreen for air that's cool and clean. They are the carrier experts here in the state of Alabama, proud supporters of Auburn Athletics and the Auburn Blitz podcast. Scout Program Management, a full-service construction management firm in Birmingham, Alabama, handling your project from start to finish. Call on them. They'll handle it. They'll take the worry off of you. They'll make sure it's done right. Bunkers in Auburn, Faith and I love it. The place is awesome. Don't take our word for it. Go see it yourself. Great atmosphere. Great place to watch all these tournament games. Make Bunkers part of your March Madness plans. Tell them Auburn Blitz sent you there. who knows? They may give you a free dessert or something. And if they don't, tell them I'll pay for it. Don't do that. Sure Shot in Alexander City on Highway 280. All your outdoor needs, everything out there that you need for the best outdoor experience. Call on Sure Shot. Go see them on Highway 280. It's where I get all my outdoor stuff, apparel, hunting gear. All my guns come from Sure Shot. All my ammo. So go check them out there on Highway 280 in Alexander City. And then Oliver Ross, full service bartending service coming to you to serve your party of 20 up to 20,000. Fully licensed, trained bartenders. They'll take care of you. And Mark Gillen, great guy, runs a great business. They do a lot of parties in and around Auburn, frat parties, sorority parties, university functions. They'll take care of you. So make sure you call on them. And we can't do the show without them every single day. All of them. Appreciate every single one of them. Appreciate you. Keep subscribing. Well, if you subscribe, you can't do it again. So just tell everybody else to subscribe, and those numbers keep going up again. So I've got to catch up on my hat mail outs, Faith. And Jerron, I apologize. I haven't dropped your hat in the mail yet, but I will today. Okay. You have my word on that. And then we'll be giving some more stuff away. Malcolm Simmons outfitted in all Auburn Blitz gear yesterday. So glad to have Malcolm hanging out with us and being part of our Auburn Blitz family, and looking forward to year number 2 with him that's loading right now. Spring will start next week for him and the Auburn football team, and I'm excited about it. And, man, he had a great freshman season. Man, I think he's going to blow it up again this year, do even better things, bigger things for Auburn, so we're excited about that. Glad Face home safe and sound back in good old Auburn, Alabama.
Where the weather is going to be great this week.
It's just outstanding, man. It's just so pretty outside right now, and it's only going to get worse. But everybody, hey, be mindful this weekend, seriously, of the weather. It doesn't look pretty. It's not a very good forecast, so make sure you're safe out there wherever it is that you might be this weekend. So that's going to wrap it up for the Auburn Blitz podcast here on this Thursday. We'll be back with you tomorrow for another exciting edition. We'll know who Auburn's playing, and it will be game day. So we will see that's who we'll be talking about in the morning, who our opponent is. We'll be getting ready for that game to start at noon. So join us back here at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll have the Auburn Blitz show on at noon today with Andy and Jim. So make sure you tune that in right back here on YouTube, Facebook, all the different areas. And then, of course, if you got Charter Cable, Charter Channel 701 statewide, you can tune it in there on TV. So everybody have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow. And a big old Faith.
War Eagle.
There you go.